Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today, Ike and I just moved the cow-calf mob. We're in the middle of calving season, and Ike, what do you think about that grass they're grazing there tonight?
I think it doesn't get much better than this, Greg. It's one of our more fertile areas of Doc's farm where the cattle have been here for about the past week and a half or so. This used to be the cocklebur bottom, you guys called it, because of how infertile it was. I think you said it had a series of soy done to it, row cropped, and just had taken all the fertility off, and now it's, I mean, just look at it.
But everybody says you can't feed the world doing this. What do you think?
Nonsense. You can't feed the world doing 7 years of row crops in a row and dumping tons of chemicals and everything on it with those inputs. I mean, this took a whopping 10 minutes to get this mini head onto this paddock right here that we set up. Just drop a front fence and watch them walk over, and they're off to the races, converting all this stuff into beef.
I call that efficiency.
Yeah. Doing it all for you too.
How many diesel engines do we have to start up, and mowers and rakes and balers tonight?
0.
What do you mean 0?
Didn't have to.
You mean them cows are doing all the work?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know, maybe the quarter pint of gas we burned in our ATV before we shut it off, including the new paddock we set up too, probably. Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, and this is, you know, this tall of grass too, we haven't had the most, and by the most I'd say hardly any rain for this entire past month. We've noticed that all the paddocks up to this, since we've been on docks, since it's been so dry, it's just so nutrient dense.
Yeah.
It's not that typical washy, you know, spring lush growth, so they just get full a lot quicker too. They're just packing on. You know, each bite is that much more nutrient dense than
it's not washy grass.
No, it's just
look at this one. She's had a calf. Looks like she could have 2 more. Look how fat she is. That's all grass.
Yep.
My goodness.
And there's streaks too. The streaks of the orchard grass, just how blue they are. They just pop. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, I thought it was interesting today. You and I were over looking at another cow herd another fellow had, and we were talking about the grass, and he was saying, yeah, put down some nitrogen and some other, you know, fertilizer. And then he looked at us and goes, well, Greg, how much fertilizer did y'all put down?
Yep, zilch. And this look on his face too, like he didn't understand. He was like, huh? You don't do any?
What do you mean?
What's your fertilizer program?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. What's coming out of the back of them as they graze?
There it is right there. It really shocked him. I mean, he was like, what do you mean you don't fertilize? You're gonna run cattle, you gotta fertilize. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, the density here is just dropping so much nutrients onto the soil with each paddock shift too. You know, between the urine, the manure, the impact of the hooves, and then the grazing, and then what they're trampling too. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better combination. It gives you what you see right here. I mean, this is all because of the way our grazing is managed.
Yep.
Doing it the right way.
Well, you know, yesterday you and Isaac and Jackson, we got those steers sorted out. We took 32 steers that averaged 449 pounds off of this farm. So that's a lot of mouths.
Oh yeah.
You know, and somebody on YouTube goes, I was talking about our drought management. I said, well, duh, you just go to, he said, I'm a city guy, but you just go to the faucet and turn the water on. You got water, duh. That's what he said. I'm like, well, yeah, you're a city fella, all right, because that ain't the way it works. You don't just go turn the water on in your faucet and you got water.
Nope.
It doesn't grow grass over 900 acres when you don't have rain.
Oh no. And that's the funny thing to me too, is people, you know, the ones that don't have too much experience always want to talk about, well, why don't you irrigate? Why don't you irrigate? You got all these ponds. It's like, you don't understand. It would take 1,000 ponds that size and probably still wouldn't give us the rainfall we need to cover even this farm.
Well, how do you get the water out there?
That's you want to build this intricate system of pumps and whatnot to pull out of your pond. Your pond's going to be dry and you're going to have maybe a paddock covered, maybe. It's just, you can't do it.
You can't do it. No. We don't have the Rocky Mountains in our backyard with, you know, this huge snow melt coming down. And furthermore, out there, you got to have water rights to use that water.
Right. You get your allotment.
Yeah. And now they're talking about building a pipeline from the Missouri all the way to Arizona.
Hmm.
I think it was going to cost $1 trillion. That's a lot of money to run water to Arizona from Missouri.
Yeah.
So
It's just a lot of mismanagement too, is the issues. You know, mismanagement with natural resources, water especially. They do it out in California, they do it in Arizona. They want to build the suburbs and the country clubs in the places that was just high desert before, and think that they can go in and everybody can have their Scott's green lawn 365 days a year, and the ecosystem is just going to support it. It's like, no, it's not.
Well, as long as I get my water, I don't care.
Yep.
You know,
that's the way they think.
That's the way they think, and pretty soon it's going to bite them.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were talking coming home today, Ike. We went and looked at those cattle, and you know, we're looking at some of the farms coming down F there, and the people just aren't moving their animals. And you and I were both like, what are they thinking?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you go another 2 miles and you hit one of our farms, it looks like this, and like, wait a minute, we just went by one that looked like a golf course.
Yep.
And what's the difference? Well, it's called management.
Yep. Guys are set stocking and grazing it down to the, you know, and like we said too, a lot of years you can get away with that poor management when you've got the rainfall to back it up and regrowth, and they're going to feel it here when they're in this drought. You can't scalp something and then keep the same number ahead and expect the grass to just start growing again.
Well, I had somebody privately email me, like, Greg, I see you sold your steers. What if it rains? That's what he said.
Great.
And I'm like, you know what? If it rains, we're going to have plenty of grass.
Yep.
And we can always rebuild. But what if it doesn't rain? And so that's something I really want to put out there to you folks, especially you beginners. You cannot make it rain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you could if you're a millionaire and did like we talked earlier, put all this pipe and pumps and all this stuff out there. But that's not sustainable. So manage for what you want, but measure, and you got to keep measuring your regrowth and looking at, you know, we keep a day timer. Here's my day timer.
Yep.
It's been easy to record the rainfall in here. We've had 3/10.
Yeah, I haven't written too much this month.
3/10 in, you know, almost 2 months. So.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying about proper management too, between when you're driving down the road, you know, at some other guy's property and ours, is when you manage that way, you're doing more management intensive. The little bit, the 3/10 that we get does exponentially so much more for us than on their pastures too, because we actually trap it. We're able to trap so much more of that moisture, because we've got all this ground cover. It just soaks in like a sponge, and it's able to just stay longer. I mean,
you know, we went by that field today. I bet that grass wasn't over a 1/4 inch tall out there. Yeah. Now, what's he going to do when he gets the 2-inch rain on that? He's not going to hold any of it.
Nope,
it's all going to go to the creek.
Go all downhill.
And then that'd be the guy that sits in the coffee shop. Well, you know, it rained so hard it didn't do any good. I've heard that so many times. It rained so hard it didn't do any good. Well, you're right, it didn't, because you didn't have anything to catch it. You gotta leave some cover out here to catch that rain. And people don't. I guess they just don't figure that out. But anyway, I just wanted to share a beautiful evening, and Ike and I are getting ready to move on, but we just moved the cows. And Ike, thanks for your time tonight.
Absolutely, Greg.
And folks, we'll see y'all down the road, and hit that subscribe button on the way out. Take care.